Her water broke January 29th in the middle of the night. It was like 2 a.m. So the first thing we do, we call Kim and the labor. Oh, it's happening right now. It's happening. It's going on. They're like, we're excited. Like, oh, because this is what you see on TV. When the water breaks, it's time to go. The baby's coming, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, slow down. The fact that she's even able to talk to me right now lets me know that, we have some time to go.
Hi, Jayson.
Hello. So great to be here.
I am really excited that you're here.
Yeah.
And I am excited, A, because you're a new dad, but also because the way that I came to know you is that my midwife and doula, Kim Durden, posted a photo of you and your baby.
Yeah.
And I was like, who is that?
She's so excellent.
I need to talk to this man. And so now we're here.
Yes.
So I would love to know more about you and your fiance. How long have you all been together, and when did you find out you were expecting?
Okay, so we've been together for 3 years now. Met in New York, live in LA. We were actually taking a trip in Joshua Tree when we found out. When we kind of knew something was going on, like she was having morning sickness and things like that, and it just wasn't all the way normal. And so her friend was joking that, maybe you're pregnant. And as soon as she said it, it was just, I knew she was. Sure enough, we had an angel on the way.
How did you, okay, so, but map it out for me, because this is 2021 now.
Yes.
So that was 2020.
Yeah.
Where were we in this pandemic?
We were all the way in it. This was actually us leaving to kind of get our minds right and just like have a little bit of sense of normalcy. So this had to be about, I want to say this was June around this time when we found out. So yeah.
And what did you immediately feel? Both regards to, okay, give me all of it. What did you feel? All the feelings.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a lot nervous because it was just so real for me. And it was one of those necessary processes because I had to go from that place. And luckily, when you find out you're pregnant, it's not like the stork is dropping it off the same day. You got some time. And I needed that, almost year to be able to kind of fully step into the role mentally, emotionally, and things of being a father. And so, I definitely went on a range of emotions. But I would say what got me to kind of change and like ease up my mind state was how much support we were receiving from my friends, from parents, her parents. Everybody was just, their first reactions were like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Wow.
And so I had to kind of check my own reactions and really understand, like I had to sift through what was real and what was fake, what was fear, what was love, what was real, what wasn't. And I got to that place of like really just understanding the power of the moment and just being grateful for it. And that's, I'm so excited now, so. Yeah.
And y'all's baby is here.
Yes.
February.
Beautiful. February 3rd. He's in Aquarius, in the age of Aquarius.
What's his name?
Rafael.
Rafael. Okay.
It means God has healed him. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So when you all find out you're pregnant, you warm to the idea, of course. What was next in terms of planning? Like how do you have a baby in a pandemic? How do you have your first baby, period? Like what happens?
There was a lot. Luckily, we didn't have to think about career and those kinds of things, which I think is a lot of, additional pressure.
Because you both are in creative fields.
Creative fields and we're advancing in our careers and so like we're grateful for that,
A lot of freedom.
A lot of freedom.
Yeah. As far as, obviously because you didn't have a baby prior to this,
right.
This is your first experience, creating a birth plan and maybe interviewing doctors. Like, how did you all make the decisions that you made around what birth would be like?
I read a lot of books and everything, and I read this book in college called The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life. And that book kind of planted a couple seeds in my mind because there was a chapter about pregnancy and birth specifically. And it was little things about, the Western way of doing things versus, I guess you would say, Eastern or African way. And it was little things like not to lay down when you're giving birth. And like, it's actually, you're working with gravity by either standing up or being in a squat position. It was little things like that. And it actually went as, in this particular book, it went as extreme as talking about dolphins as midwives, right, in water. And so, like, I've always remembered that. Just
That's funny to me that you remember that you clocked that years earlier.
Years.
I feel like as a man, I mean, I'm being judgmental here, but I feel like you might have just skipped that chapter.
You would think, but it was just so different for me because, like, I never thought about it, never had to think about it.
Yeah.
So I just found it fascinating. I actually had an experience myself during a meditation where I had a flashback to a memory of my birth. I actually had to heal that because it was like not necessarily perfect. It wasn't a perfect scenario. I remember being alone for hours. I remember it being dark. I remember being kind of cold, right? And not seeing my parent, not feeling love. And it was like weird because I'm like, who remembers their birth? I don't even know if that's possible, right? So I called my mom right after. And the experiences that I felt matched to what she was saying. So in my mind, I knew that I didn't know what exactly I needed to do, but I knew I had to have an alternative experience. I wanted water. I wanted certain things to happen. This is not common information. Nobody thinks about having a kid outside of a hospital. I don't even think that, typically speaking, that's no one knows about this, right?
I think more people are learning now. Thankfully.
Yes. In order to help my fiancé also understand that.
Wait, what was her first reaction?
Oh, man. It was a very slow process to be able to help her come around to it and to be open to the idea of it. It wasn't like she was against it. It was just that her thing was, what about the pain? I need an epidural. What's going to happen if this is, it's like practical things that, if you look at movies and TV, it's all pain, high intensity and things. So, and who am I as a man with no kids to say that birthing can be an orgasmic experience?
Right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And that's kind of what it was.
You gotta check yourself.
I had to check myself,
You're not wrong, but you gotta let her lead.
Yeah, I had to get on the computer. I had to find different resources that weren't me saying this. Because I realized I was falling on no deaf ears. So I'm like, let me find some women online who may have been talking about their experiences and having these alternative experiences. And luckily we live in an information age. So, and there's not a lot of information, but at least there was some. So there's documentaries that we watched, like The Business of Being Born and Orgasmic Birth, those two specifically, that were game changers, that were actually the changers of her being open to alternative birthing experiences versus doing the traditional hospital route, which is nothing wrong with either one of them.
Right.
Through this research, I find that, and Kim and Allegra, Kindred Space LA, the two Black superheroes in South LA that just as of 2021, right, or 2020, end of 2020, built their birthing center. It was a bunch of different recommendations that were coming for them specifically. And then when we met them, we just knew.
Yeah. So when I was pregnant with my first, I also had a midwife, Kim. She was a student midwife at the time. And so, but I also had an OBGYN just as a backup because I wanted to, also there's certain tests that midwives can't do. So I had both. Did you guys do that or no?
Yes.
Okay.
We actually started off in the hospital. But also, a huge part of the reason why I was really, there's a bunch of reasons, but during quarantine, I couldn't be present with the OBGYN.
That's a good point.
Guys weren't allowed in the room.
Yeah.
So I'm getting videos of the screen, but I can't hear the heartbeat myself. And I was feeling away because I felt left out of the experience. This is my perspective, right? I feel like the hospital does remove the man. Like, it's not really necessary. And what I truly believe is that just how it took two to create, it's better. It's going to be a more pleasurable experience if the two are involved. So I appreciated the fact that when we did switch over to the alternative route, I could feel her stomach and I could listen to the heartbeat or find where the heartbeat is. And those things made us closer as a unit, which I think is extremely important for us. And, you know, we benefited from it, so.
So you started working with Midwives, Kim and Allegra, who are Black women, who, and you also created a birth plan,
Yes.
right? You were gonna birth in a tub at home, right?
Yes.
So will you tell us how it all went down?
Okay, I'll try to make 4 days, because it was 4 days.
Yeah, 4 days of
labor. 4 days of labor. She went into, her water broke January 29th in the middle of the night. It was like 2 a.m. So the first thing we do, we call Kim and the labor. Oh, it's happening right now. It's happening. It's going on. They're like, we're excited. Like, oh, because this is what you see on TV. When the water breaks, it's time to go. The baby's coming, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, slow down. The fact that she's even able to talk to me right now lets me know that, you know, we have some time to go. So she was like, you should actually go back to sleep, you know, because you're going to need rest. You're going to need your strength to be able to push through labor. That was day 1. Day 2 comes and pain is going up and down. One thing that we didn't know was that if you were to take ibuprofen, for example, which is a safe pain reliever, anti-inflammatory, but what it actually does is it stops the contractions.
Yeah.
We didn't know that at first. So day 2, she was checked and it was like maybe a couple centimeters, right? And I was like, okay. Kim was like, I can stretch you further if you want. You're pretty loose, but you know, it's up to you. The pain was too much for her, which is completely understandable. By the end of the 3rd day, she was in the tub. Kim came back, and you know, we're like, okay, let's check again. Let's see. It's been 2 days since the last time we checked. She was 4 centimeters dilated.
I know this life.
Had to get to 10,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
4 to 10 in 3 days. It was pretty much done. So she actually did get in the tub at least in that time because we were filling up the tub, getting ready. But she was in it for like maybe 20 minutes, and I was proud of her for everything that she did leading up into that moment, and wanted her to feel confident and not feel like she's letting anybody down by us having to go to hospital. Our midwives were excellent. Yeah. They already had, part of our birth plan was creating a backup plan just in case that it didn't happen how we pictured it. She did get an epidural, which is exactly what she needed at the time, and it was perfect at the time. We were probably there for 12 hours. I remember because I slept in the car one time because it's still...
Right, it's still COVID.
Still
right?
COVID.
So this was February of this year. 2021, and you transfer from home to the hospital.
Yes.
And as a man, they say what to you?
You have your one visitor. We had a woman who we were working with as our, practicing doula. She's a student and everything. So we had 2 people. The limit is 2, including Miryam, right? So only one of us could be in there at a certain time. Right. So we had to pick and choose. They were a little bit lenient towards us, thank God. So, when we first got there, we both could be there. But then once the night hit, I had to move it to the car, come back in at 9 a.m. when everything opened back up. Yeah. And as soon as I walk in, looking at Miryam, she's like, finally not in pain. Yeah. So I was just happy to see that she was in good spirit.
She's had some rest.
She had sleep.
Yeah.
So I walk in and she's like, I think I feel his head. I'm like, okay, well, let's see. Let's call the doctor in and just see. Yeah. From that moment, I remember I have a bunch of group chats now with friends and family and different things. So I remember texting our parents, it's about to happen, but I'm even texting them, I think we still have time.
By the time you finished.
Oh, there was about 10 nurses compiling in with like gloves and stuff. I'm like, I didn't even have time to text them back. 4 pushes later.
Wow.
He was in our arms.
Wow. And you had just come in.
I had literally just walked in the door. Didn't even put my stuff down or anything like that. He was waiting on me to come back in, I think it's different for men and women because she had been with child for 9 months at that point. To me, I just met him. I became a father right then and there. It was real to me in that moment. Seeing him, I'm like, he was inside of you this whole time. It's like, are we aliens? What is this? What is it was so trippy, but beautiful to hear his cry for the first time, to see his naked butt. It was, oh man, words really can't fully put it in description, but it's exactly how everybody describes it. It felt the same for me. And, you know, it was love at first sight.